The member for Fremantle has the call.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And I do thank the member for Forrest for bringing the motion, and I thank my West Australian Labor colleagues for responding to the topic and coming and speaking in here today. And it's a shame that we haven't seen a full book on the other side. Support for regional Western Australia is important. We're the largest state in Australia. We face the greatest challenges in relation to a dispersed population across enormous distances. And we have a capital city whose outer metropolitan areas have a regional function. And it's those outer metropolitan regions that are under the greatest pressure from the prevailing economic circumstances in Western Australia. Western Australia is in recession. We've gone from top to bottom. We've gone from lowest debt and lowest unemployment to the highest per capita state debt and the highest unemployment in very short term. So we need that support. Now, the National Stronger Regions Fund, if it did its job, would have played a part in addressing those issues. I'm not sure that it really has. Certainly in round one, Western Australia received only 5% of all the funding. And that seems to be a bit of a pattern in terms of the way the coalition approaches Western Australia. As the member for Cowan said, in the course of the election campaign last year, 78 road and rail projects were promised by the coalition as they approached the election. Only 3 of them for Western Australia. So that was $40 million out of the $860 million in that pool, or again 4.6%, less than 5%. That's half our population share. And really, as the member for Burt pointed out, when you're talking about a state whose regional and rural areas account for 1/3 of the nation, when it comes to regional funding, we should be getting more than our population share. Earlier this year, the Regional Jobs and Infrastructure Package, another package that is supposedly designed to support economic diversity and to play a role in creating jobs in areas that face high unemployment. $220 million, 10 projects. For WA, 0, nothing for Western Australia, even though some of the eligible areas in Western Australia have unemployment 2 or 3 times higher than equivalent areas that were funded. I am glad that under round 3 of the NSRF, there were some important projects for Western Australia as a whole. I think the Agricultural Innovation and Research Facility in Dalwallinu is a good initiative. It's one of the areas of economic and jobs growth in the future. I think niche agriculture, high value-added agriculture in Western Australia. I support the upgrade to the Centenary Park in Kellabarron with a facility that's aimed at young people and tourism. It will provide a skate park in Kellabarron, which I'm sure will be as much loved there as the fantastic Esplanade Youth Park is in my seat of Fremantle. So I support those. But as the member for Perth pointed out, it's a bit hard in Metro Perth, and it's certainly a bit hard if you're not in a coalition seat, to be too positive about the National Stronger Regions Fund when only 1 or 2 of the 34 projects in Western Australia under the 3 rounds so far have gone outside coalition electorates. I think that would cause many people to question just how rigorously that selection process is being undertaken. Now we transition to the government's Building Better Regions Fund, which the Weekly Times described in the following terms, and I quote, "The Coalition's pet fund for regional development projects will be rebranded and the criteria changed to exclude outer metropolitan suburbs." So the area of greatest need in Western Australia, outer metro suburbs which have a particular regional function in WA, are going to get nothing as the NSRF becomes the Building Better Regional Fund. So in Western Australia, we are still waiting to see any meaningful infrastructure spending. In my seat, we desperately need support for shipbuilding and public transport. But we needed that actually to start 2 years ago. It would be nice if it started now, but it should have started 2 years ago. We've had no support for public transport. We've had no support for local road and bridges. We've had no support for shipbuilding or for coastal shipping, which is an important provider of jobs in my electorate. And really the only conclusion you can draw, if you're a Western Australian, the only conclusion you can draw on all the evidence is that the Abbott-Turnbull government and all its members from WA take the people of Western Australia for granted.
I thank the member for